Hello everyone, it is I, Archie from Archie's Orchids. Finally back. It's been 5 months, may I add, which is quite a long time. I'm going to have to get used to talking to myself like this again, because obviously I haven't done it in so long. So yeah, welcome back. It's nice to see you all, even though I can't even see you, but that's not relevant to the video. And also, do excuse my voice. It sounds like I've been smoking crack cocaine for about 20 years. Even though that's not the case. It's kind of a mixture between having a really bad cold, and I was at a Paloma Faith concert last night in Cardiff Midpoint Arena, and it's kind of a mixture of kind of me screaming and singing at the top of my lungs and having a cold. So you're going to have to deal with that. And also I'm going to be taking lots of drink breaks to hopefully clear out my throat. Today I'm going to be just talking about, since spring is coming along, it's going to be the repotting season soon, I'm just going to be talking about basic Oncidium repotting techniques and how to repot one. This is actually a Wilsonara, but it falls under Oncidium. They all kind of have the same likes and requirements, bar a few species of Odontoglossums, which are a pain in the arse, but I won't get onto that. So yeah, this one, I don't have a name for this one, I don't think. Well, I probably do, I've just forgotten it. But I'll put a picture on the screen somewhere for you to see how it looked. And also to add, this isn't a nice new box of trainers. Well, I don't know if it's on camera or not, but yeah. I don't know if this is a nice new box of trainers, it's not. It's orchid bark. Don't know which one's better, to be honest. Anyway, so let's get into it. Let's take a look at the orchid first. Let's do a physical examination of it. We can see here it has an active growth, which is, I always like to repot an active growth because then there's always going to be roots that find their way into the medium and anchor the orchid in. I would lie and say I let this one dry out for the purposes of repotting to obviously get the medium off better. It's actually just pure negligence on my behalf, so pardon that. And in terms of the pot, it's more to my right side of the pot. So I'm going to be using the same pot, I'm just going to bring it back towards the side. So yeah, this is the pot it came in from the nursery, so as you can see, I'll try not to split everywhere. It has an air cone on it, so I won't be putting in air holes into the side of the pot this time. I'm going to be potting into the same pot. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And I don't think there really are any pests on this one that I have to treat, which is good. Righto, let's take her out of the pot and let's see what's going on via the roots. First thing to note, it's potted in this awful medium, which is basically soil. It's got the odd few bits of bark in it. This is the coconut, really fine coconut coir. Probably mixed in with a bit of like moss peat and some other things. It's not a very nice medium to use if you're growing in the home. It's alright in a greenhouse. And it's alright if you've been growing for like 20 years and it's in your heritage and it's your business. But since it's not mine, I'm going to take it out of this and put it into the more commonly accepted medium, which is bark. Oh god, and right, the first thing to note straight away is there are viable roots, but I think there are some dead roots, so I'm going to be taking care of those and talking you through how to spot and differentiate between the two. Right. So that's basically all the loose dry medium out. Another thing to note is watch that growth. I have done this numerous times where I have my fat thumbs here. I have really big hands and pianist/poker playing fingers, so I have to be careful. And I've snapped off these growths so many times. So yeah. Right, so now we've got the loose medium off surrounding, we can see there's this hard, spongy stuff in the middle. Now this is what they would originally have grown it in, and what they probably done is they put the orchid in the pot like that, as there's just this root ball here with the little plug, and they would have put the medium round the roots, and that's called dropping it on, so you don't actually remove the medium that was there before, which nurseries do that. Obviously it saves time and it saves money, but if you're doing this at home, you should not do that, because that medium breaks down, and I can guarantee you now, once I've removed this plug, there's going to be dead roots in the middle. The way to remove plugs like these, by the way, I always found it really hard, and when I first started off doing orchids, is you've got to get your finger in there, and you've just got to break it up. Basically, there's not much to it. It's just take your time, be patient, and do that. So I'm going to do that off camera because that's really boring and tedious, and not nobody wants to watch that, so I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so another nice thing to note, after halfway through this now, is obviously there's a Sphagnum Moss here now, and obviously we know Sphagnum Moss decomposes at a fast rate, and it breaks down, and what we orchid hobbyists slash amateurs, because I'm not a professional yet, I'm not self-proclaimed, I'm not that big-headed yet. Another thing to note is, if you smell it, it has a very pungent odour of, like, gone off mushrooms. It's like, if you, like, I don't know, not everyone's posh, but if you, like, get a truffle and you leave it and it goes all mushy inside, that's how that smells, and it's pretty rancid. So I'm going to carry on with that, and that's another way to tell if it needs repotting. If you just say this was in the pot, bring your nose up to it and smell the medium, and if it smells off, per se, then repot it. Alright, so I'm 90% there now with removing this. Now another thing to add is, don't be afraid to break some roots. I'm yet to come across someone that can claim they can repot something in such a dense root ball without breaking a root or 17. As you can clearly see down here, I think most of these are just dead roots, and this is quite often the case with store-bought, especially, well, home department store orchids, is you're going to have a lot of dead roots. That's just part of cool, and obviously the concentration of dead roots is in the middle, where that densely packed choir pellet thing majiggy bob was. And also you could use a hose pipe. The quote from Brad's greenhouse, they're a lot more delicate than humans, and that's true. Just use it on the jet setting and get it in there and get it out. I would today if it wasn't snowing outside. It's snowed twice this year already. It snowed sort of around my birthday time, and we had like half a foot of snow, and it was cold. And then I think I got food poisoning from well, not from the snow obviously, but I think I got food poisoning during that time, and I was not it's about to go into details then, not going to. I was quite ill, and yeah, and it's just given snow a bad riddance for me, so I don't like it anymore. And so it's mainly thought today, I've had the day off school, because in England, 2 snowflakes fall from the sky and everyone's in a mass panic. All the bread, milk, eggs, you name it, has been sold out in the shops because of like 2 snowflakes. People in Canada and sort of the more northern America would probably just laugh at us, and they are well more equipped and hardy, per se, to deal with the snow. So yeah, anyway, the root ball is been cleared of most medium now. I'm just going to go wash this under the sink, and then I'll be back, and then I'll show you how to differentiate between dead and live roots, even though it's quite a standard practice to know how to do that. But again, we're not going to throw out beginners and new people into orchids, because we were all there once, and I remember I cut off all the roots of an orchid once thinking they were all dead, and actually they were all still alive. So, you know, just goes to show how much I knew and still know. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Let me just go wash this, and I'll see you in a second. Alright, so I'm going to come down now. I'm on the ladder because the tripod's quite high up, and I'm not the tallest person. Just zoomed in. Now that I can't speak. Now that the messy part is over, I've reduced the quantity of newspaper so it looks a bit more neat and tidy now. Root balls. Right, how to differentiate between dead and live roots. Washing it out wasn't a great success because our tap has one of those water-saving foamy attachment things that are like pshh, and it's really annoying because you literally get no power from them. So it's literally just wetted the roots basically, which is good because now we can really tell between dead and live roots. Not so much on these because they don't really change colour too well, but especially on Phalaenopsis. Right, so let's take a look. I'm just going to show you the middle because that's where I know most of the dead roots are. You can see here, I don't know if you can because I don't know how well my camera's close in on this, but you can sort of maybe make out fine wispy bits. That's actually the inside of the root, and this sort of spongy layer on the outside that just pulls off of the dead roots, not of the live roots, is called the velumen layer, and that just, if it's dead, it just pulls off. And then just any dead root you could just take off. Scissors in this household is another major issue. Every time we go to IKEA, 90% of what we buy is like scissors. We buy like 100 pairs of scissors, exaggeration obviously, but we buy a lot of scissors at a time. And they just go missing. Probably me. Most of them are probably in the greenhouse, and again, if it wasn't snowing, I'd go and get them. And also, because the greenhouse is so warm, hold on, drink break. Because the greenhouse is so warm, and it's tropical temperatures, the temperatures you'd expect tropical animals to live at. Native animals, aka house spiders and your like common funnel web spiders here in England, they grow to tropical sizes and they're nocturnal and they come out at night time. And obviously because my greenhouse at the moment is still small, I've got the big one coming, it's 6 months in the making. Still got some glass to buy, and it's been a really slow process because I've not really concentrated on that at the moment because exams and stuff. And they are still coming, so it's just going to get worse, but I'm going to try and fit everything in. What was I saying? Yeah, spiders get twice as big, so I'm not going to go to the greenhouse. Anyway, so yeah, live roots, they have sort of, they're firm, so here's, I think, yeah, here's a live root. They're firm when you pull on them gently. I mean, the end might be dead, but that root isn't dead because it's staying well attached and the velamen is not just pulling right off. So now you know how to tell the difference between a dead and a live root. Go ahead now with your orchid and do it. I'm going to do it off camera because obviously it takes a while and I don't have scissors, so I'm going to be fairly brutal and just yank the roots off, which is a bit dangerous, but oh well. Okie dokie, I have removed, well, what my patients allow me of the dead roots, and it's pretty well dead rooted. Another thing I like to do when I do videos is just explain. No one really explains why you take dead roots off. It's kind of a big grey area. What's the point of taking the dead roots off? No one comes along and combs all the orchids in the cloud forests and takes all the dead roots off of them, and they're surviving just fine. Obviously, cultivated methods of growing things require more compaction, and that includes medium. So there's a lot less air movement, because orchids in the wild, they don't have the luxury, or shall I say the burden, of orchiata bark around their roots all the time. They just open to the air. So roots don't really die in that sense. They die naturally. I can't speak. Catasetinae. I think they kill their roots off when they go dormant. I'm not really sure on that, but yeah. So, roots, well, being roots, you'd expect them and hope them to hold water, which dead roots do exceptionally well, and it just clogs up everything basically and just provides a nice environment for bacteria and soil breaking down microbes to work on their magic, and it just really makes your media go foul. So we generally just take the roots off for that reason. So now that that's done, usually I would do it rather fastidiously, but tonight I'm not really feeling it. So I've done the best job I can, and now we're just going to go on to repotting and actually how we're going to do that. Right, let me just climb up my ladder and make sure she's in focus. Right, so yeah, start with a nice clean, emphasise the word clean, and appropriately sized. Emphasise the two words appropriately sized pot. Appropriately sized being that the orchid sits well and looks well in the pot. Appropriately sized for this orchid would be, would be this pot because it has about an inch around it to grow. There's two factors on choosing the right size pot and why you should have the right size pot. One being the growth room. If it's too small, it doesn't have room to grow. It acts kind of like a bonsai and it stunts its growth and it just doesn't do well. And a too large pot, it would hold too much moisture due to having a high volume of medium for the orchid to sit in, and it would just retain more water basically. So you just want the right size pot that dries out the fastest, well not the fastest, but it dries out appropriate times for your orchid, and it also accommodates a root system. That's, I guess, factor number 3. Bulb filling's obviously my speciality. Like shallow pots, because generally they don't have deep root systems, so they don't really need a pot this deep, obviously, because there's just going to be sort of this much pot where there's not going to be orchid. Medium for Oncidiums. Move that out of the way and bring this one. I just use fine Orchiata bark with nothing else added. You can add Sphagnum Moss, you can add all your fancy additives. I like to keep it simple. Reason being, Sphagnum Moss obviously breaks down fast. It can work very, very extremely well in a lot of cases, and it does work well, and I use it with bulb films a lot. But I just like to keep my orchids in plain medium. But it just presents itself to me better, and I think that it just works better on hot. So I just comb out these little bits. And people say rinse the media before you start. You can do that if you have time to dry it out. Reason you want to dry it out or have it dry before you repot, if you have wet media, if you've ever experienced that, it clumps together and it forms little clumps sort of like that size, and it's really pain in the bleep arse to get around the root system. So yeah, another thing people do that confuses me, I see it can work, is they crock the bottom of the pot with polystyrene chips or something. If you're going to crock the pot at all, which I don't really generally do because I really don't find it really that necessary unless your pot's too deep for your orchid, just use a really large grade bark. Right, repotting. So that dead root is consistent in getting in the way. I just take the orchid, just try and untangle the roots as much as you can, and I just like to hold them sort of like that and make them thin and long. I just maybe layer just something in the pot to cover the bottom, not so wishy-washy like that. Use a strong, sturdy grasp. I'm entertaining myself, this is great. Okay, and now you just pop it in and just maybe shake the roots off once they're in the pot. And you want it sort of just below the pot surface, like that. And for Oncidiums, keep it centred because they can sprout growth points all over. Bulbophyllums generally don't do that. They generally, well, a lot of them just produce massively long pain in the arse rhizomes that are really unnecessary and extra. Bit like me, but orchid terms. So yeah, and then you just want to load the media round the edge and just tap her in. Don't know why everything's her today. It's a well British thing to do. Call everything her. Oh, she's nice. We even label our planes and buses and ships with genders. I'm pretty sure that's something the whole world does. But I feel Britons like to do it especially well. Right, and you just want to do this until all the medium is around, and just try and keep it at the same level. And don't worry if you miss bits, you just keep tapping it, and it hopefully in the end will all get, and just give it a good squeeze, it will all get down into where it needs to be. And when you water it in, well, it will just help further settle the bark pieces in between and around the roots. You know how I said not too long ago that the messy part was over? Well, guess what, it's not. Well, for me it's not anyway. I'm a really messy repotter. I'm just really messing everything. Now that's really loose in the pot, and I don't like that. So what I'm probably going to do is make 2 holes either side of the pot, and just put a skewer or some stick just to anchor the rhizome in place, and so it doesn't move. I'm just going to keep tapping this down and water it in and see if it changes. If it doesn't, I'm just going to show you quickly how to anchor the thing in the pot. Right, so it's been all watered in, and one thing to consider when you're watering for the first time, especially with unwashed medium, is that you do it very, very thoroughly. You just rinse off all that dust, because the dust in orchid medium can block the pores of the orchid roots, and it can stop, I don't know what it can stop. I think nutrient transfer. I don't think water will be a problem, but well, it will affect it, but it won't be detrimental. But I think nutrient transfer, because obviously the salts are bigger and they've got to pass through the membrane. So yeah, it's all watered in. It's still physically wobbly, which I would expect because it did lose quite a few roots, but it doesn't really wobble so much. So I'm not going to stake it into the pot this time, but yeah. Another thing I'm going to do once I find scissors is just trim off this leaf here, because obviously you can see it's been damaged there and it bends, and also this flower spike. And just quickly, before I leave you, because I think this is a very long video, but hopefully it's comprehensive enough to get you beginners and people that don't really know what they're doing with orchids to start repotting their Oncidiums effectively and well. I've removed the dead bracts and the dead sheaths, because it's just a really good place for bugs and pests to hang out, which are not very good for your orchid. Another quick thing I'm going to show you before I depart, this more relates to aesthetics. If you can't really be bothered or afford leaf shiners, what you can do is just get oil. I think this is separating because it's so cold, but I just use olive oil, and I just wipe over the tops of the leaves, not the bottom half, because that's where the transpiration and the breathing of the orchid takes place, so make sure they stay clean, but don't oil those. But you can oil the leaves and they will stay shiny. One thing to be careful about though is that the oil can get sticky over time and collect dust, so do it for a show, and once you've done the show and try and get it off. I'm going to do one leaf because I don't really want to do the whole orchid, because it's not going to a show. It's big enough, but it's not really show worthy. So I'm just going to wipe over the leaf like that. Just only a small amount. You don't want to be like deep frying your orchid. We're not trying to do that. We're not like Turkish and make meals out of orchids. Like they do that. They make a drink out of the tubers of orchis. I think it's Orchis mascula. I'm not really sure, but this is a species of orchis. And now I just go over with a dry cloth and get most of that oil off. It's like making crepes. You don't want oil sitting in the pan, but you want residue. So now you can kind of see, compared to that leaf, it has a nice shine on it, which just makes it look nicer and more presentable. So that's my little tips on Oncidium repotting. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed, I'm not going to say come back, because it's probably going to be about 5 months before I come back. But then again, I've got the London Orchid Show in a few weeks that I'm judging at as well. For the first time I'm judging a London Orchid Show. So that should be exciting. And now I'm going to have to go use a nasal spray because I can't breathe throughout my nose, sorry. And yeah, I'm going to have a drink now as well because I am thirsty and my mouth feels like a desert. So thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful / entertaining / you could bear watch the whole of the video, because if I was someone else, I would probably hate me because I just talk so fast, and I feel like I'm annoying. I often tell my times, actually shut up, you're being annoying. But I don't know how other people feel about that. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, and I shall see you in another one. Ta-ta!